The wind had teeth. Every single gust bit into the layers of my jacket, sliding through the seams and clawing at the skin underneath. For days, the Taiga had been silent, too silent. I hadn't seen a track, a sign of movement, nothing except the endless whisper of snow against snow. Caleb was somewhere over the ridge, checking his snares again, but I'd stopped believing in luck. Out here, your body burns over 3,000 calories a day, just trying to stay warm, and our meager rations had been gone for 3 sunsets. Hunger wasn't an empty feeling anymore. It was a pulse, steady, gnawing, and absolutely feral. That morning, I made a decision. It wasn't brave, it wasn't smart. It was just necessary. I stared at the frozen river ahead, a solid white expanse stretched tight as a drum, and I whispered to myself, if there are fish down there, I'll find them, or I'll freeze trying. I took the axe. The sound of metal striking ice echoed like a gunshot through the valley. The light was perfect for a camera, a cold grey dawn with ice dust drifting like smoke. I found a rhythm with each swing, measured, desperate. With every strike, chips of blue-white ice exploded outward, catching the thin sunlight like broken glass. I had to work with precision. The river ice was nearly 1/2 meter thick, older than the season itself. Each blow vibrated right through my bones, a dull reminder that the thing I was fighting wasn't the cold. It was time. I paused, panting clouds of breath into the frigid air. My gloves were already getting damp, the moisture from my own breath was freezing along the seams. The world around me was so still I could hear my own heartbeat over the crunch of snow under my boots. And then finally, the sound changed. A hollow crack. I froze. The ice beneath me had begun to speak, a deep, resonant moan from the river's black heart below. I shuffled backward, widened my stance and kept going, this time tapping lighter, working on the circle I'd marked out. Soon a dark slit appeared in the white. I knelt and started chipping out the edges until water gleamed through, a small dark mirror staring back at me from the underworld. I unrolled my handmade gill net, a tangle of paracord, twigs and scavenged line. It wasn't much, but out here technology is a myth. Ingenuity is the only currency that matters. I lowered the net carefully into the hole, feeding it inch by inch, my hands trembling not from fear, but from the cold seeping through my gloves. Black, ancient, and indifferent water lapped at the edges of the hole. The first layer of ice cracked again. A sharp, dry sound like a bone snapping. And then it happened. The river exhaled. A web of cracks shot outward from beneath my knees, spreading in silver veins across the surface. My instinct screamed at me to move, but my starved and numb body reacted slower than my thoughts. The ice sagged, and before I could pull away, one leg plunged through. It wasn't cold. It was obliteration. The shock hit me like an electric current. My breath vanished. The water was so close to freezing it felt solid, like a liquid knife against my nerves. In the first second, my muscles seized up. In the next, I couldn't feel my leg at all. I tried to pull back, but the soaked fabric of my pants clung to the jagged rim of the ice. I gasped, slapping my hands against the ice for a grip, every movement tearing skin right through my gloves. In water, near 0 degrees Celsius, your body loses heat 25 times faster than in air. Within a minute, blood flow to your limbs shuts down. Within 3, confusion sets in. My entire world narrowed to 2 colors, the white of the snow above me and the black of the water beneath, and stuck between them was me, trembling, trapped in the skin of both life and death. I clenched my jaw and screamed, not in fear but in pure defiance. Not yet, not like this. With one violent pull, I kicked myself free. My boot emerged, dripping, the laces already stiff with ice. I rolled backward, my chest heaving, steam rising from my soaked leg as the biting air hit it. The pain was savage. It wasn't the kind that begged for relief. It demanded surrender. But I refused. I crawled back to the hole. My net was still submerged, fluttering faintly under the surface. The rational part of my mind whispered, "Leave it." But another, older, primal voice answered, "If you walk away now, you die tomorrow." So I reached back into the darkness. My arm plunged in, numb to the wrist, then the elbow. The cold ate through me like a reverse fire. I grasped blindly until my fingers finally found the cord. I pulled, slowly, painfully, and something tugged back. A flash of silver, then another. When the net finally broke the surface, a single fish writhed in it. A grayling, small but alive, its scales glittering like frost. It thrashed weakly for a moment before freezing solid in the air. I just stared at it. For a moment the sound of the wind disappeared. The entire Taiga seemed to hold its breath. I lay back in the snow, staring up at the colorless sky. My leg burned like molten iron, pain radiating up into my spine. But in my hand, I held life. A single fish. Barely enough to fill my palm, yet it was worth everything I had just risked. The irony of it struck me like a revelation. In this place, victory and death wear the same face. I carried the fish back to camp, my steps dragging, my soaked leg growing stiffer with every movement. When I reached the fire pit, the coals were weak, but they were still alive. I added some dry moss and a whisper of breath until the flame flared back to life. Steam rose from my clothes, mingling with the smoke. I skewered the fish on a stick and turned it over the fire. The skin blistered, hissed, and split, releasing a smell that hit me like a memory. Salt, smoke, and the faint sweetness of something I once knew. Civilization. When I took the first bite, it didn't taste like victory, it tasted like debt. I looked out at the river in the distance, silent again, the hole already crusting over with new ice. "You took part of me," I murmured, my voice trembling. "But I took something back." The night crept in early, wrapping the forest in shades of steel and ink. I fed the fire one last stick, sat with the fish bones in my lap, and whispered to myself, "Tomorrow, I'll do it again." Because in the Taiga, survival isn't about strength. It's about the willingness to gamble everything, again and again against an enemy that never sleeps. The snow fell heavier, the fire dimmed, and all that was left was a lone figure, trembling beside a faint light, staring into the darkness where the ice had almost swallowed me whole. A man who had won, but at a cost no one else could ever understand. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more. It means the world. Stay safe out there.